Good evening, welcome back to In the Khud. This is September 12, 2022, 8:30 p.m. And from the smile, the smirk, the expression on my face, you can see something is different. And what is different is I had a 3-day gap in documentation. Highly unacceptable order of operations here, but it was a long weekend. Wait. I just kept it on turbo cool. I don't want even that little noise in the background. Right? So yeah, it was a long weekend and Friday, Saturday, Sunday was a holiday. Friday there literally was nothing to document, 9 September. And then the trend continued. So I'm going to quickly go through how the 3 days were because I think there are few things worth noting here. So going back in time to Friday, I think I might have put something here. Okay, I woke up at 6, snowy process, paid the bills and I took the Patreon membership of Derek Elliott. Need to start working on 3D commercials based on references. Product will be always branded as blendR. This is an entire show, a concept that I'm planning to come up with and like really strategizing and trying to put it together, but in a very unique way. It's going to be blendR branded product. It's going to be like a 30-35 minute show on the main channel. We'll be running as a show called the blendR Render or the blendR Show, something like that. And there I'll be dissecting the entire process of making a commercial, a 3D commercial from the start till the finish using blendR and the Adobe Creative Suite. It's going to be a lot of fun to make. I want to also take the level of production up because currently I'm just doing it in a very basic fashion for In the Khud, but for the show, when I start making regular content for the main channel, I want to have the big area light softbox and then do the cinematic light and have darkness in the background, very soft light coming from here. Being the key light, will have one rim light and that's that. Maybe have a yellow color lamp in the background, so really make it like very moody kind of cozy video, because the entire vibe I'm trying to go for is very calm and very patient. And now we can add a few loop cuts and make it go right through the middle, and these will serve as more vertices. We need to adjust things here and there. That's the kind of vibe I'm trying to go for with the show. On Friday, I might have done a few episodes of show too. Not exactly sure or remember what. I did watch a movie. The reason I'm watching movies is because it's good to consume stuff in that way so that it like fuels my creativity and storytelling in general. So the first movie I watched is Love Enough, Sir. This movie is based on like social drama, social distance or gap. So basically it's the story of a wealthy architect who goes through a breakup, who doesn't get married or whatever. And then the parallel protagonist is a woman named Ratna who's working as a maid in this person's house. And over time, through the course of the movie, we see that the guy falls in love with the maid, and then how the maid distances herself from him because socially it won't be acceptable. I think I have written down completely everything here. I'm not going to go through all of this because it's like a very detailed thing. I'll go through this part. As from a structural perspective, the film is divided into 3 acts. Act 1, setting up the lives of the characters and how they're unhappy. Act 2, Ashwin starts developing feelings for Ratna, and Ratna 2 considers Ashwin to be a really nice, decent man. Chan mulga hai. Act 3, Ashwin expresses his feelings to Ratna. Because of the social distance between them, Ratna refuses the idea and moves out of the house. I feel the principle of a good story is give them 2 plus 2 and not 4. Let them make their 4, 5, 6, whatever in the mind. So in the end, before returning back to New York, Ashwin talks to his fashion designer friend to give Ratna a job, knowing that she's very good at it. Elated with this job, Ratna returns back to Ashwin's home, maybe to thank him once, but finds out that the door is locked. She goes back to the terrace where she and Ashwin once come during the beginning of Act 3. There Ratna's full of regret and tears of a situation of how good a man Ashwin really is. There she gets a call from Ashwin. He says hello. After a long pause, for the first time in the movie, she calls her Ashwin and not Sir, which is a concern that Ashwin expresses, as in, why are you calling me Sir? How long are you going to keep calling me Sir? And this is, I feel, was the best way this movie could have ended. There's no clear-cut resolution as such, like a no happy ending or happily ever after, because that did not make sense, right? It's left to audience interpretation. It takes the viewer's mind what this lingering question of is love good enough, instead of trying to answer the question for the audience. Instead of giving them 4, it gives them 2 plus 2. Like, you decide what is love enough. That was the movie review for that. Jumping on to Saturday, 6:13, watched Ryan Atkins tutorial on texture baking. Amazing thing learned with the node wrangler. If you select the principal BSDF node and Control plus Shift plus T, it opens up Explorer. You can select roughness, color, normal, metallic textures. The way they come from CG Trader or Sketchfab, you can just directly map them and it will get all those bump nodes and everything for you. Need to start executing seriously on the blendR Render Show, which I just talked about. And yesterday, Sunday, okay, I just go through this. Quite a few sessions missed. For today, I woke up at 6:13. Amazing thing learned. You can go to Amazon.com and search for any product, pull out reference profile images. For example, you want to model a shoe, you can go to Amazon, like type a particular brand's shoe, and then on the side you get profiles, so left, right, front. You can just download them and use as your references for modeling. Advancement. Yesterday I made a Photoshop.ahk script which allows you to pan around Photoshop using the middle mouse button. I'll quickly show you what that is to maybe add a little more value to this documentation. So all that this is doing is when we press the M middle mouse button, it sends space down and it sends left button down. So basically in Photoshop, you can hold down space and then with your left button, you can pan around. Same as pressing H to go into hand tool and then doing it. Who does that? I don't know. But then you give a key wait for M button, as in wait until M button is released, and then you want to send reverse. So L button up and send space up. So if I had to quickly show you what I mean. Now I can just, okay, I have to have it running. So I've mapped it to F24. Now I can just press the middle mouse button and move around. Earlier we had to do space and then this. So you can just now press the middle mouse button. It's very convenient to do with the middle mouse button, like pan around, because it also works that way in Blender, it works that way in Figma, it works that way in Illustrator and After Effects. I don't know why it is not by default working in Photoshop. Like, this is so basic. Adobe at least have the navigation. I frankly, I don't even understand why the shortcuts are different in all the softwares for like Photoshop, Illustrator, getting the move tool, and move tool is okay, same, but rectangle tool and lasso tool, the shortcuts are different to Illustrator. Might be a reason, but at least the navigation, everything, just keep it consistent. Why is that so difficult, Adobe? Then today morning session was spent watching one of the awesome geometry nodes tutorials by CG Matter, thinking in the direction of I want to integrate geometry node modeling in everything I model inside Blender from the start. This requires quite some math and coding, which is kind of right down my alley, and is a much better way of modeling in case we need to make multiple variations of the model with certain parameters tweaked. Instead of starting like the traditional way of modeling is you start with primitives. Let's say if you want to make something, what would be the nearest primitive you could take? You could take a cube or sphere, whatever, and then you add the subsurf modifier and the bevel or the solidify modifier depending on how you want it, or you start with the plane and put circles and stuff, and then you add loop cuts inside it. That is the easy way and the traditional way of doing it. But the problem with that approach is once you've done it that way and added details to your model that way, if you want to make changes to that, you have to go back the whole route and do it over again. So it's a lot manual work. Whereas in case of geometry nodes, like the deeper you go into it, you can get that level of this precision and details in geometry nodes as well. It'll be a little more complicated with math and coding. But the thing with geo nodes is because it's all procedural, it's all being applied through a modifier. You could just take out a few parameters as input and have multiple variations of your model with just changing a few values here and there. So GeoNodes is the way to go. So after that I came back home and I did this small GIF thing, and then I worked on the shop floor video feedback, and we are almost 70% done with the more than 70%, like 75% done. 25% still remains, but we'll see. Hoping that it gets done this week. I think that pretty much wraps up where am I? Have I exceeded 10 minutes? Like 11 minutes, okay. Quite a few things. One thing I still haven't documented is today morning I made like another long message. I'm getting popular for these long messages I put out on WhatsApp or wherever, but that message was basically me ranting about why, like in the agency, every single brand is basically trying to sell their product through the content. Like no piece of content is made with the intention of building an audience or forming a community. It's just like, hey, look, this is a product, buy it. Just trying to integrate the product in all weird sorts of ways with every post that is done. And this is something that the designers and even the video people, like we've discussed this internally a ton of times, but nobody would address it to like everyone. So I put it on the main group. It is just so much fun to like take risks like these. Maybe because like one is like I know I'm right, I'm 100% correct with what I'm saying, and so it's fun that way. But it's also fun because I'm in a position where I can mess around like this and not worry about things. So it's not that I'm misusing my position, it's just that I'm putting it to good use by actually addressing something that it's important to address, but nobody is maybe having the courage or caring enough to address it. So there we go. That's it for today's documentation. I hope you found this video entertaining to the least whenever you're seeing this in time. Hopefully not 2022. Thank you so much for being in the khud. I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace.